First of all, there was another girl, one of the dancers living in there, and another lady with a girl, with a baby girl. But then the lady with the girl went after the second night. But the dancer, the young one, stayed for some time. Then all night, I was thinking of the awakening kiss, which Barbara had received by our, I forgot at the moment, what was it, Barbergen, which had always impressed me enormously. I've had that contact with Barbergen. So, when I went into the woods sitting under a tree, meditating, trying to shut out everything else but Barbara, perhaps for an hour, I raised my eyes. There was no one there yet in the woods. I see Barbara standing there on the bridge, drawn by my great, strong, and ending desire to see him somehow, gesturing towards me. I ran as I could. And Barbara did like this, meaning I should go over having my breakfast. I had it at 7 o'clock. Of course, I wouldn't want to have any breakfast. So I ran off. Barbara looking after me, how I was running. I sat down on the table. So I sat down, I believe, who was it, opposite, this German one from San Francisco, BBB's father. They know, people will know who it was. And I was sitting next to Adele Wolking, but on opposite there was, I know his name, and I just forget it at the moment, and he says, "It is strange. We didn't see Carrie come in." I understood why he couldn't, because I'd just been touched in Barbara's silence. So Adele said very realistically, because Carrie just came in. She hadn't perceived it. Well, what I want to tell is, if I wanted now to describe what had been happening with Barbara whilst I was with him in Myrtle Beach, that the trees were calling out Barbara, and the frogs are sleeping on the floor on the boathouse there, because I couldn't bear it inside. I had no air. People didn't allow you to move. So Kitty allowed me and Elizabeth to sleep in the open air very near Barbara's house. So I had beautiful contact with Barbara. But I wanted to say that since Barbara had only taken me to Myrtle Beach, and I was sitting somewhere in the woods towards the end of Barbara's presence and sojourn in Myrtle Beach, could I come along with Barbara? I just felt I couldn't bear it. My heart would break if I had now to separate. But you see, I had known that I was coming along. I had no more money left. Just enough to go back now. So I was sitting somewhere, meditating on Barbara, just praying. Barbara, let me go on with you. Just let me go on with you. When suddenly someone calls out, Barbara is calling all those who are not coming along with him to San Francisco, first of all, his first station. Should they come forward? So I'll run through the woods. Barbara somewhere at the other end in the middle of wild woods, snake invested. And I'll run and I'll run and I'll run. So I ran until I found Barbara. Next to him was Mayor Tree standing, no one else. No one else came. So Barbara felt I just could not separate. I stood in front of Barbara. And Barbara looked at me. And he knew what I'd been wanting all night. But he first embraced me. But I was inconsolable. I just could not be consoled. Then Barbara did something. When he saw there was no other way, which I shall not be able to tell, but Barbara will know. And that moment I had been quieting down and went and sat somewhere nearby as if I was having met Christ, which I did indeed. So later on, we were allowed by bus to say goodbye to Barbara at the Wilmington airport. I'm sure many of those who were present will remember that moment. So Barbara went around, touching there, contacting there. And our contact was particularly strong. And before Baba left, in front of all these 100 people, he embraced me. Unending. He must have felt that I'd come forward. I was explained later that for a long time, someone had not come forward consciously as I did. In Baba's grace, because indeed it is grace even to hear of Baba. So actually I can jump again towards the Israeli work that Baba told me when I said, Baba, I just cannot separate. I'm just not going to leave you. So Baba said, you've been now to Myrtle Beach, that is just enough. Also the blind doctor came back, he telephoned me the next day in New York, he said, Carrie, you got a boyfriend now. And then Baba told me, which I had forgotten, Carrie, go straight back to Israel. And there spread my message of love. Off I went, packed my things, because Baba told me to go. And I remember we went by boat, because we didn't have any money to go by air. I was sitting in tourist class. So without my moving or doing anything but meditating on Baba, seeing his discourses, I hadn't finished them yet, the first class passenger calling me up, as it happened in the clinic there, where I had been in London now for some weeks. You just sit, and you are in contact with the highest. Then people feel something. They come up to you and ask your secret. They might ask you, what is meditation? So when you feel that Baba wants you to say something, only then you might say something. So I did sit all these days, I was on the boat with these mainly American tourists. And they're always sitting in some corners studying some of Baba's teachings. It stopped, went on all along at the airport, at the port, at the harbour. They opened all my luggage, which was full of Baba material. So they got Baba's message, because they asked, who is this Mayor Baba? They didn't trust me. They thought there must be a secret around, something I was hiding on material goods. Coming back there, received by my husband and son, I told them on the taxiway back to Jerusalem about Mayor Baba. First, they took it in without any prejudice. They felt this enormous power coming out. But of course, later they just went back into their own limited shell. And immediately, after a few days, I called out a meeting of all those people I thought might be suitable to hear Baba's words. Because John Bass told Baba, Carrie intends to call out some meetings. He put it into groups in Israel. I never considered it in groups, but he put me in groups. So we had those people coming in, and I told them, we said a meditation, we read. But there were many people, there were Christian scientists, and there were artists, and from all walks of life and all ages. Some of them kept on for certain times. They lost themselves. And ever since, there's hardly a day that Baba doesn't send in people. And we didn't have any helpers, up until now. And I accepted it in Baba's will, that Baba gave me the great chance, single-handed all those years, to work in his love. And I didn't worry anymore. I knew the moment Baba wanted the time to come, it would come. We've had a great number of youngsters especially, lovely, beautiful, loving people, who hadn't met maybe Baba, but heard of him, coming to us. We have hundreds of youngsters, especially Americans, in the streets, seeking in Israel something new, thinking to find an answer, and a number of them finding the way to our centers. I'm saying centers because I've had a center in Tel Aviv, a beautiful one. I spent my last money on it. But the days I had to come from Jerusalem, they didn't always come. They came days when I wasn't in. But we did have, at times when I had some films showing, about 15 more. I founded another center in the Galilee. I had asked Fred Marx to come, but then he only could have come for 3 months. That wouldn't have helped me. I wanted somebody for a year to man the center, because it's very far off. I had to do my house in Jerusalem, looking after my husband and duties, still at the same time traveling around everywhere. So when I really had awakened people in that center in Galilee, I had built up a house there with trees planted. And people used to come in great numbers there. Also Christian people from the States who settled there in this place. And we used to sit at night, and there was awakening from one end to the other. Baba's awakening. But as soon as you left again, it died down again. It was lighted and died down again. So it was also Baba's way. So everywhere, actually, in Israel, there and there and there are spiritual groups doing Baba. They are contacting, they're getting all the material from us. So I'm perfectly quiet and know that if Baba wishes us to do something on the official side, which I did not do, I did not appear on television, I did not appear on radio. I sometimes tried with some of our Baba friends, like Max, I've forgotten his second name now, Max Seibert came from Myrtle Beach. He really honestly tried. He stayed in Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, to help us a little. But he was young, he had also to think of his studies. He did try to help us, but he went back too. Everybody went back again. And they came. We had lots of university intellectual people. They found it very interesting, Baba's teachings. Very interesting. They even published something on Baba in Hebrew. Distributed. But that was it. For God's sake, do not accept him as your master. That would be fanaticism. Just very interesting. Study his things intellectually. No more. So actually the word has been passed in Israel. You see, I want to clear up some misunderstanding, which I actually should have said now on Saturday night, on Saturday afternoon. People wanting to limit us into political limitation by saying Carrie is anti-Israel, it's just silliness and stupidity and untruth. Baba has nothing to do with national limitation, England or Germany or any other country or Israel. You see, it just hurts me, because of course the creation of Israel created separateness again. But it had been in the will of the highest to be separate, to be created. I admit it. And so actually I accepted in Baba's will to stay on. I knew that Baba wanted me to stay on for his sake, because there was no one else passing on his words. But of course, there was no one else. There's no one else now I could have said a word about Baba, or said anything about my longing or feelings, because there wasn't anyone ready. Just my attitude of helping them. But Baba was there, and that was enough for me. It still is. And Baba had given me now a chance to come out to you beautiful English people who are so much more awakened because Baba has been here. So it's of course always all of us. And I'd even thought Baba would allow me to stay for some more, to be fresher by returning. But then I felt it would be selfish, because my husband was waiting. And all the others who love me, nevertheless, around me, would be wanting me. But Baba would know when to bring me out again to my beloved sisters and brothers in India, with whom I'm just one, you see. I don't need to say a word to Mani or Mera, to all of them. We've all forever been one, as I'm one with you, through beloved Baba.